All right, Morgan, good morning. I know you've been watching me do this. Now, did you see what just happened?
You
Just
put
see it happen. Like I put that little bit of hot coral blush on, and it like changed the fact that I'm giving French poodle vibes today.
You are not giving French poodle vibes. Are you kidding me? That
Woof,
looks
woof.
oh, no, you didn't.
Welcome to Getting After, y'all. Y'all just jumped into the conversation and make it a little crazy today, okay? It
A
may
lot.
be a little crazy. It may be a little random, all right? Because sometimes it's important that we just talk about what's on our minds. I said, Morgan, this is what's on my mind this morning. She's like, this is what's on my mind this morning. I said, you know what I think we should do? I think we should record this.
But just that cheek alone, that completely
helped.
changed your whole
That
face.
helped. That helped. That helped. All right, guys, what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about your makeup. We're going to be talking about shaking it up. And we're going to be talking about checkups because, you know, when it gets to be certain times of the year, it's time to take care of yourself. And sometimes we say, no, I'm going to take care of everybody else but me. That's not what we're about in this life and getting to after. I'm Chatone Morganne, Princess Positivity, and that is
Morgan Bustos.
all right, Morgan. All right. Now, I know that we're going to get a little random today. We're going to get a little random this morning. And the very first thing that I think, because clearly I didn't get as much sleep as I should have received. My body is like, but why, Mom? Why not?
What are we doing?
But I will say that makeup to me changes that. It does do a little something. So I know that makeup is deeper than it looks. You know, some people are like totally against it. We also should jump into things like hair color because I want to share a story with you about a hair color that I had in the last couple of weeks. But, you know, real talk, women, no matter what your age is, I think that putting on a little bit of makeup changes things. And I know there are schools of thought, I would never change myself. My husband likes me just the way that I am. That's fine. Or, you know, I really like the Holly Hobbie look. Good for you. But remember that Holly Hobbie and Laura Ingalls, right? They lived on the prairie. And on the prairie, you get a lot of sun. And that sun acts as makeup. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? We're here for all of it. Morgan and I absolutely love a little bit of glam. I mean, look at her. Like, look, like, come on. Now, Morgan, I got to ask you something.
What's up?
I know that you basically wear makeup almost every day. Even when you're doing construction, you have a little bit of something on. But talk to us about, and I thought we can just do this kind of really quick. What is the thing that for you, no matter what you're going to have, like you would not leave the house without doing?
My eyebrows.
Oh, yeah.
But that's also because I don't have any. So I look a little scary if I'm walking around and you just see like.
Oh, you have some. Everybody has some.
There's like nothing. I have like a little whoop, so I look like Spock or like a little ant because they're just like dee, 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 dee.
You know, I know before you told us that you started losing your brows, and of course you and I both had that issue. Speaking of makeup bags, I am going to show a product that I absolutely love. It's been really helping me with my brows recently. This is limited edition MK. We're not selling today on this podcast, but I do want you to see this because to me, this right here with these three colors, it's awesome. One is a pomade, like a little bit waxy. One is a powder and one's a highlight. This right here, okay, quick and easy, even comes with its own wand. I agree. And I would say for me, if a woman has that brow done and a little lip gloss, like you can go a long way. That's why when I started this morning, and concealer. Wait a minute, let me not lie. Concealer too. All right, what's your number two? So, because for me, I would say absolutely the brow. If I do absolutely nothing else, like if I wake up in the morning and don't have my brows because my brows have thinned out because of the thyroid issue, I feel weird. I do feel weird. I'm like, where's the rest of my face? But then I also say that a little concealer because I think as we start to age and get through the midlife period, you know, that concealer. You know, I like applying it with a little brush like this, take it, rub it in my hand like this, and then just kind of tap it in a little bit and then cover that with a little bit of translucent or a little bit of silky setting powder in the same color as my skin. Game changer.
He taught me to do that. It completely changed the way my face looked because it like brightened it up a lot and it made it a softer gaze, when you did that. Yeah. So with that, I would have to say that my mascara, because you can put on a lip gloss and it does brighten it up, but even with chapstick, but if my eyes, because if my eyes are happy and my eyes are open, I feel so much better in my day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about now? Like if you think about how you used to feel about makeup, if you had a moment, I know you've talked about this before, like kind of passing the mirror because the day is not going well and having your face done. Do you
Mhm.
have any poignant moments where you're like, oh, if I okay, because my hair is curled like this, girl, the hairs are everywhere. You ever where you like I passed a mirror or something happened, or because I showed up that day and I was made up that you felt differently? Because I think that again, this idea of I don't know what to do, and so I'm not going to do my face at all because I don't want to look crazy.
Yeah.
I think we need to dispel that.
Yeah. So, I think that sometimes when let me see, showing up for a job interview
Oh,
and I just spiced myself up just a little bit, it made the difference of my confidence when I walked in there, right? And so even when I sat down, when I was walking in, my handshake and everything like that, like this was years and years ago, but like it just made a complete difference because it just gave me that extra confidence and that extra pep in my step that I needed, you know,
mhm.
walking in there to secure the deal.
What's interesting is you said it was a long time ago. So so much more so that we need it now and as we age a little bit and things are looking a little different.
Mhm.
So um I like what you said about that. I was in HR for a long time and I interviewed lots of people. And I will have to say that when I saw a woman come in really kind of as she was, my feeling was kind of like, if this is how you come for the interview, how are you going to come to work?
Mhm.
I don't see that all day. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe that's rude, you know what I mean? But I do feel that it does matter. And I'm not saying that you have to be dressed up like you go into the Met Gala. I'm not
Right.
talking about putting on so much makeup that it looks like, it's going to take you 2 or 3 hours. Because then, of course, I've heard employers, it was never me, but I've heard employers say that when they have someone who has on too much makeup when they come, that they start to think, oh, she's gonna be late, which I think is rude
Huh.
because that's not true. But I've definitely heard employer friends of mine even say, well, when a girl comes in or a woman comes in and she's got so much makeup on, my first thought is she's gonna be late all the time.
That's interesting. Okay, so I was waiting tables this one time, and there was two gentlemen talking amongst themselves, and I was actually waiting on the table behind them, and I overheard them talking about how when a it was specifically a woman, when a woman comes into the job interview and she has herself put together, that they appreciate that because then if she has herself put together, then they felt that that was going to transfer over into her work ethics. She's going to be more structured. She's going to be more organized, more attention to detail. Now that's not for everybody, but it was just interesting because man, that
I
was.
kind of think it's for everybody. I was an employer. I agree.
You think so?
Yes, I agree.
Because it's like if you're going to take time to work on yourselves, and you're going to also take time to focus on the other little things too. When it comes to everyday, oh, that looks
Yeah.
pretty.
Now
Sorry,
you see,
squirrel.
you see one color, right? It changes things. We're talking about the little things that you need. Now, I really don't have any foundation on.
Mm,
I didn't do any of that this morning, but I am wearing like this bright orange silk duster today over a blouse. It's very weird. And then I have on bike shorts because I was feeling that kind of way today. Like, I may wear anything under the sun. You may not know. It's a button down duster. And because it buttons, all the way down, I'm like, well, what if I just brought it right up to the that's your word. I wore some bike shorts, you know what I mean? So that I can keep myself cool because I am a woman in midlife, but I
mm.
wanted to be cute today as well. So yeah, Morgan, I definitely agree with that. So now talk to me about what's something that you did as far as makeup's concerned, because I do think our audience sometimes what happens is this idea. Now we have a lot of glamour girls that kind of, are here with us. And so
Mm.
shout out to all of you. But for those that feel like, well, if I never figured it out before, or I was like super glam in my 20s and 30s, and I continue to do that, it's going to age me. Or they may feel like I never mastered it. If I start now, it looks like I'm trying too hard. That's the one. I know that you and I both have two schools of, clients that we work with. A lot of my clients, it's like that. I
Mm.
never did it before. So now if I try, it's going to look like I'm trying to be my daughter, or it's going to look like I'm trying really hard, or I'm trying to get a husband, which my mother-in-law has had that. If she shows up really fabulous sometimes to worship, it's like, oh, are you looking for a man? How insulting. No, I'm looking for myself to be in joy.
Thank
And
you.
looking cute allows me to feel enjoy. It is not about somebody else. And I've got a man upstairs right now, not the man up, the man upstairs. Okay, anyway, I have a guy that I live with. And he could care less if my face is made up. I'm not sure he even notices. I notice. So what's something that you might have done in your 20s as far as makeup's concerned that you're like, that is totally off limits now?
Oh, okay. So I used to wear, I'm gonna have to find a picture somehow, somewhere, someplace. I used to wear this purple, I mean
Oh Lord.
glitter. I mean purple. There's like 3 different shades of purple. My friend
Oh,
me, and it was called Candy. It was a candy brand. And it had so much glitter in it. It was like, but I loved it. And girl, let me tell you, I rocked that. And it looked good. Well, I don't even know if it looked good on me back then, let's be honest. But the point is, I rocked it.
you felt good. I mean, I think, was this in the 80s?
Uh, it was 2023.
Oh.
No, I lied. I can't. What year are we in? We're in 2023. It was 2003. I lied.
I'm about to say, we had a pandemic. I knew you in 2023. I would have told you about that. I would have said, no, Morgan, don't do it.
I
Don't
had
do
to
it.
go back and see how old Sasha was. It took me a second. No, it was in '03, and it legit. It was. I would wear this beautiful pink silver shimmer right here. Then it was a lavender purple, and then it went into another shade of purple. Then a dark, like dark.
That took a long time to create.
But the funniest thing is, this is what I did. I went like this. I took my thing. I went.
Oh yeah.
Just like that, and I was done. So I used my fingers and I literally just dabbed it, and then I would do like a kind of blend thing.
Yeah.
So,
You be honest, Morgan. You didn't blend.
okay, I
Be
didn't.
honest. Now, you know that if you're gonna put on makeup,
So
blending is your friend. Okay, blend. Do not do it without blending. All right. So for me, I have to say that if I were to see you doing that, I'd be like, Morgan, I love you, but can we adjust that a little bit?
well, learning that different colors work with you in different parts of your life too. So
Yeah.
depending if I'm in my winter shade or if I'm in my summer
Yeah.
shade, colors
Yeah.
change with.
Yeah.
And then also there are some things you do kind of grow out of, or it's just for a specific time. Like if I'm going out for the evening or something, yeah, I can wear some glimmer and some sparkles and things like that, but not to that extent,
Right.
right?
Right. Well,
Mhm.
I love a little bit of glitter, especially on the body. So for me, it's all about the body. I'm always about off the shoulder. It's about having all that. I have a lot of sprays upstairs that are like not expensive at all. I get them from like TJ Maxx or Ross or Marshalls. Marshalls, I really like theirs. And it's like spray, little fragrance, little bronzing glitter, a little bit. I'm
Mhm.
totally into that. I'm totally into that. So one thing that I know that again, some people get a little nervous about is if they spend a lot of time taking care of their skin or a lot of
Mhm.
time taking care of their face, what does that mean? And I think that what it means is that you care about yourself.
Mhm.
Get up earlier and get it done.
Mhm.
Get up early and get it done. During the planning I've had for the wedding, I definitely got away from taking care of my skin as well, which is ridiculous because you'd think I'd want my skin to be pristine for my daughter's wedding, but in truth, I just didn't want to take the time. So of course I'm always going to wash my face twice a day, moisturize and so forth like that. But I stopped doing all my masks. I always do a mask like twice a week. I stopped doing my microdermabrasion. I didn't do my exfoliation the way that I had in the past. Licking a prayer, I was doing it like twice a month.
Mhm.
So now I'm getting back on my game, and it is going to take a little bit longer. But what I'm doing is I'm segmenting that time. This is about it being deeper than just the skin. It's
Mhm.
deeper than just me taking a little time for myself. When you touch your face, which we do all the time, and it feels smooth, like, look, it made you smile. It's not even your skin. Like, I touch my face and you smile. Like, that's the magical stuff right there. But it matters. It matters.
It does, taking that extra time for yourself because it does so much for your self-esteem,
Yeah.
whether people want to admit it or not. When you take a couple more minutes to wash your face, it doesn't even have to be anything big. When you
It's
wash your face, or if you put them and then put the moisturizer on, your face thanks you. It's like,
and look, see how you did it? And
oh,
y'all, if you're gonna put the moisturizer on, like I am not an advocate for you touching your face a lot. We touch our faces too much as women because
mm,
we're stressed and we touch our face. I'm not talking about when we're tapping. Notice we're just doing that with a couple of fingers, but like we touch our face. Oh my goodness, this happened. No, and our hands are not clean. However, when you're doing your moisturizer, when you're doing your skincare, the way that Morgan just did that, can you demonstrate that again, Morgan? Did
like
that touching, and you can do it kind of slow and penetrate and push the moisturizer in. It
mhm,
does something for you from the inside. It
mhm,
really, really does. we do a light touch when we're doing makeup. When you're doing your skincare, you really want to like press and hold, and do things like push, you know what I mean? Like we're working against gravity here. So this idea of pushing, putting the moisturizer on your neck.
Your décolleté.
Please stop ignoring the neck so that when your face is looking really, really gorgeous and then your neck is looking like Return of the Jedi, like not like really like pressing it in there, okay? Because we're not trying to have Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the
right?
Rings.
We're not trying, okay?
And the back of your neck is so important too. Please, please, my friends, do not forget about moisturizing the back of your neck and using
sunscreen.
Because your back of your neck ages too. So then when you're putting
your
hair,
you got the sun. It's not good back there. It's one thing from the front, and the back is looking like pieces of paper that you gobbled up because you got the letter wrong. It's like, what happened to the back of the? Okay, so we want you to take care of all of you.
Oh, I love it.
We don't want you to have crumpled up piece of paper. All right, let's jump into this topic, Morgan, because this one is a little bit more serious. We do look, if you need makeup tips, if you're like, I would like to do things a little bit differently. Morgan and I have an episode coming up for you in a few weeks, probably maybe a month or so. That's going to be amazing. We're going to talk about all of our favorite tips, not just ones that we have created for ourselves, but ones that we've learned. We've been culling together lots of wonderful tips from lots of makeup professionals and also skincare tips. So we're going to be doing one episode that's just about that. So stay tuned. But now this one is a little bit more serious. So let's pivot to something that's a little bit less glam, and that is checkups. All right. So we talked about makeup. Now we're going to talk about checkups. So as women, we don't like to do them, but we know we have to. And I do feel it's not fair because we have so many that we have to do. And as you age, the list starts to get longer. Now, I will mention that if you happen to have this book, this is my book, Fat and Happy, there's a chapter, there's one key in here that talks about all the things you should do, making sure you're asking yourself the question, when's the last time you can actually put the dates in? So if you have this book and you haven't done that chapter, go in and grab that key because it allows you to go in and see, these are certain things I haven't done. So Morgan, you're just kind of at the cusp of, midlife. You're just kind of tipping your toe into the water there. Are there any appointments right now that you're like, I need to do, and you haven't wanted to do them? Or what are the appointments? Because I'm sure it will resonate with someone that you don't like to do.
I think honestly, just any kind of checkup that I know I have to do. So like, how you have to get like mammograms every once in a while, like that one's scary. And especially when you're like realizing, like, is this what it's supposed to feel like? Is there something there that's not there? You're checking yourself out and it's a little disconcerting because you're like, well, that doesn't feel quite right. So just the anxiety of going and getting that done, or every 3 years going and getting checked out to make sure your cancer isn't back, or getting checkups just for body changing. You want to know, but that you're okay. But at the same time, there's the thought of, well, what if there is something wrong? Right. What if there is, and it's funny because even something not pre-planned, but like getting injured and then wondering if you're going to be okay or what's going to happen. I went to a dance with my son the other day and I fell. We were dancing, we were goofing off. We were playing red light, green light. Okay.
I mean, how, I didn't even know you were old enough to know about that. I'm so happy that we're moving that forward in the generation because all kids need to play that.
Thank you. So we're playing red light, green light at the dance, but these floors were like super, super slippery. I mean, I wasn't the only person that fell. And sure enough, whoop, right from underneath me. And I fell and I hurt both of my ankles and I slammed my head into the floor so hard. It like discombobulated me for a second. And I'm like sitting there and like, I know it like I was just like this. I was like looking around like, did that just happen? And then I look up and then there's
black out or?
No, I didn't black out, thankfully. Thankfully, I didn't black out, but I was discombobulated for a moment. And then when I got up, I was dizzy and my head hurt. And I was like, okay, I'm getting too old to even play with my kids. You know what I mean? I don't mean that. I'll never be too old. But in that moment in time, my head was hurting so badly. So then at the end, I'm walking over to the other aunties and everything. And they're like, girl, sit down before you hurt yourself. And then the other ones were like, are you okay? And I said, I don't think I am, but I'm okay for right now. So then I put it to the side. And then the next day I was worried because my head was really, really hurting. So it completely moved to my whole back of my head to the whole right side of my head hurting. My concern with that is, as you know, I have like previous
Multiple
concussions.
concussions, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was just like really, really, really made me worry for a minute because the way that it was hurting behind my eye and then down my neck and into my shoulder, I was like, okay, I had to check this out. So I went ahead and I went to the emergency room after I was in my ministry, and I ain't gonna lie, like, I sat in my car in front of that ER for a good 5, 10 minutes and just being still for a second because I didn't know if I wanted to know if there was anything else wrong. And so I'm like, okay, so when I go in there for my CT scan, because I know that's what's gonna happen, and then they're gonna take x-rays of my ankles and my whatever else, what is gonna show up? Is there
Right.
gonna be more gray matter? Is it gonna be worse than what it was
Right.
before? How bad is this gonna be? And then what was getting me is I have to go home if it is bad, then I have to go home and explain this to my kids,
Yeah.
right? That mom's hurt again. My mom's messed up again. This is what could happen from it. And
Right.
so the whole psychological effect that's going to play on them and their emotions. Is it going to trigger them? Is it going to put them back in time? Are they going to have, emotional episodes, from this all because I fell? So those are just a couple of different things
So
that we
did that then make you, all of that make you not want to go?
not want to go in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was so worried about how it's gonna affect everybody else, like the people that love me and care about me. How is it gonna affect
Yeah.
them, you
Because
know?
because I want to be transparent with our audience. She didn't tell me the first time it happened, and I'm only hearing some of these gory details right now. So I will deal with her after the episode is finished being taped. However, we will allow forgiveness to reign. Good thing I love you. Y'all, this is definitely something that we feel, and there are, I've lost probably 5 friends for
Mm,
feelings like this. The reason why we wanted to put this one in here, even though, it's not a cute topic, it's a more serious topic, is because as women, so many things can happen to us. And if we just took the time to get the checkups done, they may not happen. And I wish that I could say, yes, I've done it all right. But if you followed me for any period of time, you'll know that I've got a load of health issues. And sometimes I would go and sometimes I wouldn't. And, there's those moments too that you go into the doctors, you're there, and you start hearing them talking about all the things, and it
mm,
makes you rethink the last 10 years or the last 20 years. For me, that's happened often. The thing that's always brought to the fore is my weight, always, always, always. And I'm so grateful that the doctor I have now, who I've been seeing for about 20 years, doesn't lead with that. Like, okay, it's on the table. I'm not a light person. But also, once we realized that my thyroid was totally shot, it's like, oh, maybe I have a reason. Oh, do you want to go on medication? No, ma'am, I do not. What other alternatives are there? What other things can you give me? Because the medical profession don't always talk, or your doctors don't talk to each other, she sends me to another doctor to see the thyroid, which I put off at least 3 months.
mm,
Dumb. What if it were cancer, Morgan? But I
mm,
just was like, the idea of, my neck was already hurting. It was already inflamed and big. I did go for the ultrasound. We see these big nodules on my thyroid, but now we're talking about biopsies. We're talking about needles going in my neck and drawing out fluid.
mm,
And it was like, you know what? I'm going to take these natural supplements instead. And so, as much as I love natural, there have been times where I've leaned on them more heavily because
mhm,
I don't want to sit in the doctor's office and be told all the things I did wrong, all the things I could have done differently. And so, that's definitely been one that's held me back. And so I just want to just be that person to go on record. If you haven't had your mammogram, or if
mhm,
you've had an abnormality on your mammogram, or you're not doing your breast exams every month, like why? Like those are things you can do yourself. Put it in your calendar, make sure you're doing it. If you've had some kind of cancer scare in the past, if it was a scare and you didn't have it, good for you. But don't you want to go check it out just to make sure? Um, and then as well, our priorities change. Like Morgan, you're talking about, I'm sure in your 20s, you weren't thinking about, if I go to the doctor, if you even went to the doctor, because who went to the doctor in their 20s? It's like, what is my family going to think? You're not thinking about that.
yeah,
We
yeah,
just go or not go. I do think this generation, Gen Z, are a little bit more. I don't know what Alpha is going to turn out to be, but I think Gen Z is a little bit more um, constructive when it comes to wanting to see almost over, like the almost a little bit of hypochondria going on. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's just you just stubbed your finger. Like I promise you, an ice pack will be good.
That's true, but it's good that they're more
Yes,
self-aware,
aware.
you
Yeah,
know, that there's not a stigma around it
yeah.
either. Like growing up, like when I was growing up, one, you didn't go and see therapists, you didn't go
Oh
to see counselors, you didn't go and talk about anything. But then also going to the doctor, like you don't go to the doctor either.
no,
You if what if
drink a
they're
ginger ale.
yeah,
Now you know good or well you're supposed to drink a ginger ale and take an aspirin. You know, an aspirin and some ginger ale, and you be all right by morning.
and rub some Vicks on it. You'll be all right.
Now, my mom didn't use Vicks, but she put that vaporizer on, put the Vicks tablet inside. Okay. The vaporizer was going to cure
And
every ailment you could ever have. Listen, come to find out, because we never changed the filter, it's a wonder I can breathe right now, because the amount of spores that were in the air from the vaporizer with the dirty filter.
mm,
Like, Mom, I love you, but like we needed to change the filter. We never did. There's going to be these moments where you don't want to do it. And so we're not going to preach to y'all, but as women, we have a lot of things. A lot of stuff goes on downstairs and we don't check. We can't see. We got to check. We got to see. A lot of stuff is going on monthly in our bodies, and then stuff stops happening monthly, and you have to know what's what. I will say one in particular. I just want to kind of talk about this. A friend of mine, a new friend, and she recently had a miscarriage. And for those of you who have had miscarriages, it is hard going back to the doctor after a miscarriage. So I want to just talk about that for a second. It's really hard to go back to your female doctor. It's really hard if you think you're pregnant again, um, because you don't want to hear the heartbeat. You don't want to know. You're scared, and please go, just go anyway. After having 3 miscarriages in succession, when I was pregnant with Caitlin, my hormones were low, and I was cramping and also spotting. And the truth of the matter is, I didn't want to go. I couldn't take it. I was like, I knew they were going to tell me I'm losing a baby again. And I had told Mark, like, I will have 4 miscarriages for you, but I won't have 5. So I knew that when I was pregnant with Kate, that was it. Like, she had to come or all bets were off. And so I went to New Jersey. Um, I'm sorry, this must have been Levi, because I had Caitlin in New Jersey. So I'm talking about Levi. I'm sorry. So I went to New Jersey for a business trip and started spotting. It's like every pregnancy, the same thing over and over again. And I don't have a doctor there. I'm not living there anymore. So I called the doctor that I had before, and they were so kind to me because they know how much I went through to get Kate, that they basically took me in that same morning. And I did an ultrasound. I had not been to the doctor yet. I knew I was pregnant. I was positive. I had not been to any doctor in Maryland. I just went in New Jersey for the first time, and they did an ultrasound, and I was scared. My mother-in-law was amazing. She went with me, and they did the ultrasound. I saw a little heartbeat and everything, and they spotted, and they were like, okay, you need to take this, I forget, it was progesterone, whatever it was, some hormone. They're like, take this every day, take this. They got it for me that day before I went back home to Maryland. And it was really in a few of those moments that I've had with doctors that have really stepped up their game. It doesn't happen all the time. I wish it did, but a few that really went the extra mile. And strangely, it usually surrounds something real negative for me, where doctors have stepped up their game. They are out there.
you
But
just have to.
even if they're not, even if they have a lousy bedside manner, it wouldn't be better to find out something that's going to hurt you in the future with a doctor that's a little rude than to stay home and feel happy and not find out at all and then have a catastrophic event. For me, that's what it taught me.
Well, and then also like when you get to your 40s and your 50s, your priorities do change,
Yes.
on what you think is important. And then also how you realize that you're aging, right? And so then you're like, okay, well, I do need to get these things checked regularly. It's not just a hit and miss kind of thing in your 30s and 40s. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like your 30s up to your 40s, you can be a little bit more It's not the forefront of your mind. But then
And
you
then
get
it starts being like, every year you got to do this. Every 3 years you got to do that. At 50, you got to do this. And like, you don't want to be behind like that colonoscopy. Everyone hates. We're going to do an episode where we just talk about all these tests and things. To me, a colonoscopy, best thing since sliced bread. I go to sleep for about 20 minutes. I'm groggy. I got that high feeling. I'm real thin because my stomach is completely empty and I get to rest all day and people have to feed me. I love it. It's not a problem to me at all, you know, but for others, it's not, you know, it's like a scary thing or whatever based on family history. So we are going to revisit this often because it's important. Go out and get your stuff done. Don't be afraid to do it and recognize that, yes, there are people in your life that may be affected if it's negative news, but imagine how happy they'll be if it's good news. And even if there's no news, then that's something you no longer have to think about. You can kind of check it off your list.
Well, even something like having to write out your will. That is something that people, well, I struggled with it. I've had to like update mine a couple of different times. And that's something that is such a huge, like non-negotiable. You have to do this. If you love your family, care about them at all, you have to write out your will. Because when it comes to that point of your life, you're not here to advocate for yourself. The people around you are highly emotional. And I said emotions are like all the way up here. So even if they're calm and cool and collect as a whole normally, when you have emotions and death and loss involved, people do crazy things. So if you have it written out, X, A, B, C, X, Y, Z, it is so helpful. And it's hard to do it because you have to address your own mortality. You
Yeah,
know? And that's a hard thing.
and you start getting into that in these ages, needing to do that. And I remember the first time you didn't even do it formally, but you're like, I'm running. And this is, you just wrote a bunch of things out and got it notarized and sent to me. And we're like, can you just hold on to this? And, you know, again, those are things to check on. Those are definitely things to check on because it's important.
And it makes it easier for the people afterwards because they know what's expected. And then, and something as simple as that we don't think about is what you're putting in that. Apple IDs, your bank account numbers, bank account passwords, things like that are really crucial. So sit down, like take a minute and like do a little bit of research or just have a conversation with whoever, an attorney, whatever you need to do, an accountant, something like that, because it's loving on your part to do that for the people you care about.
Yeah. Which makes me think about our next topic, which is shaking it up. Because if, you know, you start talking about your mortality and everything, you went dark real quick. So we're going to shake it up a little bit. Woo! Good morning, Morgan. No, baby, no, sweetheart, you're absolutely right. I'm kidding. I wrote a note down that we need to have an episode where we talk about that. I may bring a professional in to talk about it in a way, what to include, what to start to think about. So I'm gonna do some research. We're gonna bring someone in. We're gonna bring in an entrepreneur in and see how they can talk to, especially with women and single moms. I think importantly too. And for those of us who I don't, but may have a husband that doesn't want to think about it, and so it's going to be on you. All right, so let's talk about shaking it up a little bit. You know, one of the things that, I mean, I've watched you have major shakeups, and I mean, right now you're doing some planning right now for a pretty big thing again that most people can't do, but like once or twice in their lifetime. But what's one recent shakeup for you that like kind of caught you off guard? And you're like, okay, let me go deal with this.
They raised our rent almost $500. And so I had been planning on staying here because I think our lease is up in like July, the beginning of July. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just do a month to month, you know, until I find something. Nope. Do you know they were going to charge me almost $700 more a month for a month to month?
Right.
$700 more. I was like, you're kidding me. You're raising my rent $500, but you're going to charge me another
You're raising the rent in the middle of your lease?
No, my lease ends.
Oh, your lease at the end of your lease.
Yeah. And so they were raising it. And so now we're almost at the end of May and trying to like having the expectation in my mind. I was like, okay, no worries. I'm not going to sweat. I'm not going to stress about this because I can just stay here. That's not even an option now. So now I have about a month and a half, if that, to be able to find a place, pack everything up, and then also move. And then the thing is the places around here, the rent is not what it used to be.
Yeah. No, it's everywhere.
Yeah. So So what I was expecting to be able to pay for a 3-bedroom house, not gonna happen, not and the or I have to move, like, almost 30, 40 minutes
Yeah.
away. So
Yeah.
and not to do that because where we are in are, like, my kids are in a great place.
Yeah.
The homeschooling program they're in, the foundation that we have here, our congregation, there's so many young ones in our congregation for the children to associate with that's, like, good. Like,
Right.
we are in a good place, like, our little
Right.
good, so I'm not wanting to pull them out and fly somewhere else, you know?
So
And
how are you, so I mean, you're in the midst of this right now.
legit, like,
That's
right.
definitely a shakeup, you know, and I think a lot of women, a lot of families are dealing with this right now. For the last several years, I've been hearing about friends in every state. Rent's going, I mean, rent used to be a percent or two, and it's 500, 600. One went up. My sister-in-law, in fact, hers went up, I think, $800, $900. Like, nobody has $800 or $900 extra to stay in your same raggedy apartment. What are you talking about right now? So how are you just, how are you holding on? Like, how are you holding up under that? I mean, I know you have prayer, of course, meditation, your spiritual routine. Um, how are you doing with this shakeup?
Honestly, I'm struggling.
Yeah,
I'm struggling hard because it's taking me back to the past.
yeah.
Like, there was a couple of places I went and looked at, and I took Maddox with me to go look at one of them, and the upstairs was, like, it was newer, it was updated-ish, and so but then we walked downstairs, and as soon as we walked downstairs, we just kinda looked at each other, and there was nothing wrong with it, but it took us back to
It's a
what
trigger. It's a trigger.
huge trigger, and it's because it had low ceilings, and when that house I had to fix up when we were back in Meeker had really low ceilings, and it was, like, kinda oddly shaped here, this one that we were looked at, so it just didn't make sense, so you're, like, confused, like, "Where do I belong? This doesn't fit," like,
Oh,
it was a very, very interesting feeling, so just being uneasy and then seeing my
yeah,
child uneasy made it really hard because now I'm like, "Okay, wherever I do put us, is it going to be psychologically damaging for us and then set us back when we're finally making full steps
right,
ahead,
right.
you know? Is it gonna how far is it gonna set us back?" So, just making it a matter of prayer, but,
Morgan, I know that, it's hard. You've needed support over time, and now you've been like so autonomous and like making a thing happen. And I can imagine that even just the structure of the house or different things can feel like triggers or are triggers. Um, I know that you don't have an issue with this, but maybe can you talk a little about what it looks like when you ask for support? Because I know for a fact that once many times we get to this, I'm grown, I'm in midlife or whatever, it almost takes us back to our 20s. We're like, I'm independent and
Mhm.
I no longer want to ask for help. But don't you feel that it's one of the most critical things?
I think it's an amazing blessing to be able to say, I don't have this all on my own," and asking for help. I think it also takes, like, a sense of humility to an extent to be able to say, "Even though I'm capable of it, I'm not capable of doing it to this extent at this moment in time." So being willing to ask people to, "Do you have any contacts? Do you"
Yes.
"I'm not from here. Do you know anybody that is in the housing market, or do you know any realtors or, rental properties?" And then just letting it be a word of mouth kind of thing can be helpful.
Yes. So I'm listen, our audience, you're right here. If you happen to be in the Winston-Salem area, King, give me my other cities. I have my list here. Wait a minute. Where's my list? Because I've been looking. I live nowhere close. All right. But if
So
you're in those areas, what's the county?
so foresight.
Forsyth County. If you're in North Carolina in any of those areas, and you know of some place where we can find a 3-bedroom that's affordable, we're looking for it. We're looking for that because Morgan needs to move. And one of the things that I think, Morgan, that just about you in general, you spent so much time helping others, no matter what was going on with you. You spend so much time in shelters, so much time, giving, so much time at stores, collecting things, making sure that no stone is left unturned, so that you can help other women who are survivors of domestic violence. But at the end of the day, it's 3 years hence, but you're still a survivor and you're still a victim of domestic violence, because the reason why you're in the situation you're in, this apartment, that apartment, this house, whatever, is because you're not back in Colorado. If things had not happened, these will trickle down and it
Mhm.
takes a while. So, you've had a lot of shakeup just in general. Your children have had. And I think that looking for support, whatever that looks like, and again, going back to those checkups, making sure through this time, everyone is taking care of their mental health, making sure you are doing that, those little breathing sessions with the kiddos and allowing them to express themselves as to how they feel. Because sometimes I know that for me, when I get into mommy mode and I'm like, okay, I got to make things happen, we may forget to communicate, but they're not little anymore. They're not even like, they were 12 or whatever when you left, or 13. Like, they're really becoming that young adult, driving, working. And what happens is that we forget that their input matters. Granted, you still have to make the decisions, but I think that asking for help really helps us to balance our emotions, and it helps us to not feel so alone when sometimes we could feel really alone.
It really does.
So with all these, ooh, girl, sometimes you get me, I'm about to be emotional in here. We're going to get you what you need. We're going to get you what you need because you've done so much for other people. So I know it's going to work. Here's what I want to do. I want to jump into a little bit of tapping, if that's okay with you. Maybe we can tap on courage to take care of ourselves even when we don't want to, or even when it feels a little bit hard. We can talk about that. Because whether you're checking you're going to the doctor, you're making sure your face is slayed, or, making yourself feel good from the inside, or you have something serious that's kind of shaking up your life right now, we need to have a little bit of courage to make sure that we take care of ourselves well. So as opposed to going into any grounding, we're just going to do a couple deep breaths. We're going to jump into some tapping. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Let's do it, baby.
Let's do it. All right, Morgan. So we're going to get into a little bit of tapping right now. I'm actually thinking I do want to do some grounding with you in general, because I was noticing during our little break there that you were like really working on your shoulder. I noticed you're in some pain, probably still from this accident you had. So I think we'll do that, but I'm going to tape it separately. So for those of you who know you need to get some grounding in, definitely get a whole body scan. We're going to record that separately, and you'll find it down below, in the list of videos. So take a look for that. We're going to try and get that up at the same time that we drop this episode. But for now, we're going to be tapping on courage to take care of ourselves. Sometimes even when you don't want to. And that goes back to small things like taking care of your skin. It goes to bigger things like taking care of these doctor's appointments. And what we're talking about, when you go through like a shakeup in your life, something's happening and you know you need to ask for help, or you know you need to do a big thing or do something that's huge, like go find a new place to live, or you're moving across the country, or you have to get out of a relationship that's really detrimental for you. These are all things that could shake up your life. We're going to go ahead and tap on courage. Quickly, again, know that you always want to think about your subjective unit of distress. Where are you at right now? Where are you feeling this in your body? 0 to 10, how much courage do you think you're lacking, or how much courage do you think you need in order to get to this place of, being able to wake up, really being able to wake yourself up to take care of things that you may not want to do. So we're going to start here on our karate chop point. As always, my lovely Morgan is going to demonstrate that for you as I go through the tapping points. We're going to start at the karate chop point. And you can repeat in your mind, or you can repeat after me. You do not have to ever say it out loud, so it makes you feel uncomfortable. But just get comfortable with tapping at the side of the hand right here. Just get comfortable with that. Take a little breath right there. Now let's first start right here. Even though I've been avoiding the doctor.
Even though I've been avoiding the doctor.
And I'm afraid what it means if I find out that I'm sick.
And I'm afraid if I find out that I'm sick.
I completely love and accept myself.
I completely love and accept myself.
Even though I've been putting myself on my list.
Even though I've been putting myself on the list.
I don't do my self-care.
I don't do my self-care.
I haven't done my skincare.
I haven't done my skincare.
And I've been ignoring myself.
And I've been ignoring myself.
I honor
and
give myself permission to change.
And give myself permission to change.
And even though I say I'll call tomorrow, but I never do.
And even though I say I'll call tomorrow, but I never do.
I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself for who I am.
I deeply and completely accept myself for who I am.
Okay. Take a deep breath in. Blow it out through your mouth. But let's start at the eyebrow point. I don't want to deal with it.
I don't want to deal with it.
Side of eye. I feel like I'm too busy.
I feel like I'm too busy.
Under eye. But part of me is just nervous.
But part of me is just nervous.
Under the nose. What if they find something?
What if they find something?
Under the chin. What if it's worse than I thought?
What if it's worse than I thought?
Stay there for a moment. Collarbone. I'm tired of feeling afraid.
I'm tired of feeling afraid.
Under the arm. I'm tired of failing my body.
I'm tired of failing my body.
Top of head. I've been ignoring this for a long time.
I've been ignoring this for a long time.
But it hasn't gone away.
But it has not gone away.
Now take a deep breath in. Blow it out. And just assess for a moment if you feel any movement in your body. You feel chills? Do you feel like a little bit of warmth? Just you kind of close your eyes and kind of think about it. Because now we're going to try and think about taking small steps with courage. Just kind of anchoring in the fact that you can take these small steps. We're going to start at the eyebrow point again. I'm allowed to take small steps.
I'm allowed to take small steps.
Side of eye, I'm allowed to feel scared.
I'm allowed to feel scared.
Under the eye, I don't have to have it all together.
I don't have to have it all together.
Under nose, I just need to start where I am.
I just need to start where I am.
Chin. Tap gently on your chin. I'm giving myself permission to release the guilt and the shame.
I'm giving myself permission to release the guilt and the shame.
Yes. Collarbone. I'm releasing the fear of judgment.
I'm releasing the fear of judgment.
Judgment from my doctor.
Judgment from my doctor.
Judgment from my family.
Judgment from my family.
And judgment from myself.
And judgment from myself.
Underarm. I'm choosing courage.
I'm choosing courage.
My kind of courage.
My kind of courage.
Top of head. I can love myself.
I can love myself.
Through the care I give myself.
Through the care that I give myself.
Okay, take a deep breath in. And shake that out a little bit. Shake that out a little bit. How does that feel so far, Morgan?
Feels good.
Feels good, yeah. Me too. Feels good to me too. Let's do one more round. Start at the karate chop point. I am worthy of care.
I am worthy of care.
I am worthy of learning to trust myself.
I'm worthy of learning to trust myself.
I honor every small step that I take.
I honor every small step that I take.
Eyebrow point. I'm strong enough to make the call.
I'm strong enough to make the call.
Side of eye. I'm brave enough to make the move.
I'm brave enough to make the move.
Under eye. I'm soft enough to forgive myself.
I'm soft enough to forgive myself.
Under the nose. I'm steady.
I am steady.
I am healing.
I am healing.
I'm okay.
I am okay.
Under the chin. I am whole even when I delay.
I am whole even when I delay.
Collarbone. I choose love and honesty for my body.
Say that one more time.
I choose love and honesty for my body.
I choose love and honesty for my body.
Underarm. I choose compassion for my journey.
I choose compassion for my journey.
Top of head. Tap gently. I am coming back to myself.
I am coming back to myself.
Gently and fully.
Gently and fully.
Okay. Stop tapping. Roll your shoulders back a little bit. Take a deep breath in. Release it. if you decide to tap along with us, remember this.
Mm.
Courage doesn't come overnight. It doesn't show up just because you try to get it. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're working on your brows, booking that checkup, or bouncing back from a huge thing like Morgan is in the process of. Remember, midlife is like this thing. But you do it beautifully. You don't have to do it perfectly.
Yes. And don't forget that things that seem like they might be random might be exactly what you need. And sometimes it makes it better tomorrow.
Yes.
So.
Yes, it does. Morgan, thank you. I know this was kind of like a weird episode for us. I will say that I do want to get into that little grounding and breathing exercise. So we're going to come on back. And so watch for that down below. Let me let you know how you can work with us. If you're like, ooh, this seemed like something I need in my life, you can always go to bit.ly/tap-chat. Morgan and I love coming out here every week. We may talk about random things like makeup. We may talk about skincare. We may talk about wills. We may talk about death. We may talk about domestic violence. The reason why you come to Getting to After is because it's no hold bars on topics that we know are going to make a change for you so that you can reach and find your joy.
Yes.
That's what's most important.
Everybody, we welcome you back every Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Please like and subscribe, and please share it with somebody else that you know can enjoy this message too. We'll see you next week, you guys.
Bye. Mwah.